Describe a moment or experience you feel best illustrates our relationship best.
Can I use just now? So I feel like having a moment where we're supposed to be doing something there. We're supposed to be like dressed and looking our best, and my entire outfit came unzipped 10 minutes beforehand. And not only did you find a way to like make me feel calm and make me laugh and then provide me with a snack, I feel like that's, for me, the epitome of our relationship is you always feel like such a comfort when my life feels very, very chaotic. And you always have this way of just like bringing me back to center, regardless of if it's the world being on fire or the fact that my underwear is out in the middle of a grocery store. You have always just kind of been the thing that like has been able to calm me, and I've never gotten that before.
Okay, let's pause here. I'm going to say my observation so far is they're both like pretty nerdy people. He's doing the kind of fuckboy aesthetic that I don't think is actually him, nor is he pulling it off. And she seems really like wholesome and nerdy and giving homeschool a bit. And it feels like she thinks he's like kind of maybe like a better guy than he is, or something. Like he's not, this isn't him. This isn't him. Whatever this aesthetic is, it's not him. And she feels like a little bit like she has something going on, but it also feels like maybe not enough. I don't know. Something feels, Discord said, are they neurodivergent or just nerdy? She's giving autistic and, autistic to autistic. She's giving neurodivergent. He's giving possibly neurodivergent, but also just like nerdy who's trying to look cool. I don't know. Cheza, do you think it's a mask? I think the fuckboy aesthetic is very like cope, and I think she's giving homeschooler who never really like experimented with what she looks like, but she's tried a few things, but she hasn't really like she doesn't know what she wants to look like yet.
And I'm just curious how many times it's going to happen to us, because
how many times
at South by Southwest, we were definitely sewing my whole outfit back together in the grocery store bathroom also.
Well,
they have, I'm going to say this as a pattern of observation, no judgment, of course. I think people have nerdy mouths. I think there are certain types of mouths. This is why I don't really believe in free will that much, because I think like even the way you talk or the way your mouth is shaped will dictate how you exist in the world, because it almost like matches your personality in a sense. Like they kind of have like a nerdy kind of aesthetic to their mouth shapes.
Well, where was your sewing kit today?
Yeah, well, I had no sewing kit today. It's going to have to be part of the loadout.
I love her nails.
But now when we leave the house.
What do I do that makes you feel appreciated in this relationship?
Okay, I'm glad you guys know what I mean. And again, not derogatory, because I think what really helps me, because I'm so interested in philosophy, obviously we do philosophy through pop culture here, is when I look at my face, like when I meditate, what I'm trying to do with focused meditation, so there's different kinds, I try to see what I look like as a stranger. Like the same way I could view them and associate them into bubbles and be like, oh, this is where they belong. I'm trying to like do that to myself. And when I look at myself, I go, there's the autism, there's the neurodivergency, there's the way that my face is shaped, the way that I look, the way that I exist in the world, like, oh, there it is. And like, there's no judgment about that. There's simply who I am in the story. And it's really hard for me, at least, to like really see myself as a complete stranger, but that's why I meditate and practice it, because I'm trying to like see what I would look like if I saw me. Like if I saw me in the grocery store, how would I categorize me? What story would I tell myself about this person, and how accurate would I be in observing that story? Because, a lot of us are pretty bad about what we see. That's why bigotry and prejudice is bad. We don't judge a book by its cover. And yet, because we know people signal with what they look like, we know that we can kind of see what a person is up to, because like that's how we make assessments. It's if we use wisdom and discernment, I think it allows us to keep the prejudice and the bias kind of like at bay, and allows us to focus on like without judgment, what am I seeing from this person? Right? Chet says, I get it as well. All of these things play a part in how you're perceived and treated and experience your own self based on that feedback. Yes. An interaction between your presentation and perception. Absolutely. Chet said it takes so much concentration, but for a moment, everything seems so clear. Total 100%. Yeah. Chet says, yes, I've always noticed that. The way humans hold their teeth, lip, and tongue in their speech is so specific. Being surrounded by singers and voice professionals has made me so aware of the nuance. Yes. Oh, that's a good example.
Just everything, You're so good at easing my mind and my anxiety and just allowing me to take the space I need to, refocus. You help me refocus on myself and what I need to be done. And just, I was a ball of nerves when we met, I was just pulling my hair out, so anxious and just so like.
See. He seems like the type. That's why him doing a fuckboy aesthetic is so interesting. Even though I do think fuckboy aesthetics are because boys are either super, super arrogant or super, super insecure. And I do think a lot of insecure boys appeal to, as hard as they can, to like a sexy aesthetic in order to mask. But it is interesting that he is a ball of anxiety. He is all these things. And yet this is the aesthetic he's going for. Like this chain around his neck, these glasses, this hairdo. Like it doesn't, I think I think he's sweeter than, I think if he was healthy and went to therapy and deconstruction and did philosophy work, would be more cute, nerdy. He would have like a sweeter beard and a cuter hairstyle. He would look more like, what's that cute, the cute guy from Frozen, the guy who owns the cabin. Hold on. Man who owns a cabin in Frozen 1. Let me see. Yeah, this guy. He'd be like this. Instead of this, he'd be like this. But he doesn't want to look like this. And I'm not saying he has to look exactly like this, but you see how this is like a sweet, but a big guy? This, you know what I'm saying? He needs to look like this. This is so much cuter and nicer and sweeter, but instead is this,
Like, I don't know, self-deprecating. I still am a little bit, but you did very well at helping me just kind of relax and know that everything's going to work out in the end.
I love that. You were pretty nervous. So.
Yeah.
Discord says, I feel they may only be attracted to each other because of the neurodivergent intuition, attraction, but I don't feel any chemistry between them. Yeah, same. I feel like they're kind of settling for one another because I'm not going to say codependent or any of those things because I don't know that, but.
I still am. I'm terrified right now.
I think you're doing great.
When do you feel the closest to me and why?
When you're the little spoon.
Come on, we're on camera.
No, I feel the closest to you when we're traveling. I think there's something for me that feels really intimate about experiencing new things together that neither of us have experienced. And I think this past summer we did a lot of that. I feel like the entire summer was spent on a plane somewhere. But for me, it's like, of course, I love our regular life and our normal days, but there's something to me that feels really, really special about seeing a new place or eating a new thing, or even like before this, we went and got, a smoothie that I've been thinking about for a year, but like being able to try it together for me, like feels like a level of close.
Damn, that's so interesting. Was the question, when do you feel the closest to me? When we're spending money and consuming and traveling experiences, I guess? Interesting. Chad said, Naswalian Dynamite, like instead of Napoleon Dynamite. That's fucking hilarious. You're so funny.
Closeness that's different than when you're the little spoon, though. I think that's a very close second.
All right.
Wait, I want to hear that answer from you.
When I'm the little spoon. No,
okay, funny. They got jokes.
What do you suspect concerns
He didn't answer the question, or was that the real answer?
me the most about us, and what advice do you have in regards to that?
Ooh, what concerns me the most? Let's see.
Probably how easy it is for me to regress into my old ways. And
This is the clip I saw on TikTok.
just kind of lose focus on what we're building toward.
This is the clip I saw on TikTok that made me go, oh, we have to watch this together. Because the moment I hear out of an adult relationship, the biggest issue in our relationship is my regression, it makes me think like it's not an embodied value. So I want to use their life to talk about embodied values. How do you lose focus on something that's embodied? Well, something is going wrong, or you were coping and pretending that it was your value when it wasn't. Because how are you losing focus? Now, this might be also going back to the neurodivergent conversation. Could be ADHD, could not be. And I'll just say, like, as an autistic planner, I don't mind that ADHD tends to struggle to see into the future. It's okay. My autism has a 100-year plan in its head. I got it. But it is about that person, because I'm in a neurodivergent relationship. It is about us making sure that it doesn't matter if you can't see the future. I can. So let's go. And them supporting and them never losing focus. And they've been together a year and they're having problems. I've been together almost 4, and we have been on the same page and headed in the same future. Everything has been fabulous. So when I look at my past relationships, same thing. Problems within the first 6 months, problems hell within the first 3 months. Okay. And yet we kept going because we kept thinking, well, maybe it will get better. But just a word of advice, usually, typically, if there's problems in the first year, there's probably going to be problems in the future. So the fact that they're together a year and they're already having is kind of the values differences isn't, it's obvious.
I know that worries you a lot, and it's something I struggle with, but
I know that worries you a lot, and it's something I struggle with. I know that worries you a lot. Uh-oh, girl, you cannot marry him.
I'd say that's probably it.
What advice do you have?
Just keep rocking with me. I'm gonna get there when I get there. We're making fast improvements as the days go on.
Negative. Okay. I did today's podcast, but I'll give you a little sneak peek. I wrote notes. Ready? If man so obviously bad, why women still pick him? Potential, hope, denial. I can fix him. Important but shallow. Dig deeper. Society failed boys. So obviously he was failed as a child. Okay. Then that failed child became a man and he dated your daughters and sons. Okay? That is tomorrow's podcast, okay? And that's le dilemma.
So, appreciate you. Stay solid.
Boo.
I'm doing my best.
You are.
The jokes, boo. I'm abandoning my relationship. I'm abandoning my partner. I'm leaving them in the dust, but also rock with me because we're rocking with Mark. That's a joke. So that TikTok sound, that's we are all African American and Mark. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, ma'am, leave Mark in the dust with peace and love. Mark has a lot of work to do.
You're doing great. I'm proud of you. What's the pain in me you wish you could heal, and why?
Ooh, time for questions.
What is the pain in me you wish you could heal, and why? Oh, Lord.
You're getting the good ones.
I think the fact that you felt like you had to grow up at a really young age. And
Nobody grows up at a young age. Everyone is just traumatized and stunted. Children who had to grow up fast are actually just stunted adults. As a child who had to grow up fast, it just made me a stunted adult. It put me way behind everyone else. And now I'm a late bloomer. And that's what really happens. That is why he is behind, because he was stunted when he was growing up.
it feels like you've been an adult for double the time that I've had to be an adult. And I think with that comes a lot of weight. And I think you felt responsible for things for much longer than I've had to feel responsible for things. And for me, that's the part that I wish I could like go back and like give you your childhood, because it feels unfair that you didn't get to have big chunks of that.
But do you see the way we would kind of romanticize it? You had to grow up fast. You had to do these things. I remember I had this guy in my life, a man, and he was dating a girl. And he was telling me about her, like, oh man, she's amazing. She's so smart and funny and beautiful. And I was like, okay, base, cool. And then he was like, she had to grow up really fast. And then he started to name like the most horrible childhood I'd ever heard in my life. And I was like, oh my God, is she okay? And he's like, what do you mean? Of course, she's so cool. Like, look at all the ways she had to grow up and like take care of her siblings and do all these things. And oh my God, she was doing this at like 13 or however old she was, 14 or something. And I was like, you are telling me a horror story and you are treating it like it's a hero story. This is a devastating story about the girl that you're dating, the woman that you're dating being so abused as a child. And you're saying it like it's cool. And that I understand. I used to do that too. I used to do it too, right? Romanticize a hard childhood. romanticize roughness, almost want it because it makes you feel like you have character or like, oh, you went through something. Because I mean, what's the number one way we insult people on the internet, right? Oh, you're so privileged, you never had to struggle. So then we romanticize struggle as something you want to have so people don't have to throw it back in your face like you've never struggled. Joke is we all struggle. We just struggle differently, but everyone struggles, right? Everyone is suffering. And so it is sort of like this catch-22. It really, if you've read the book, if you understand, a catch-22 is basically like, you know, how do we explain this? It's that like, oh, if you're privileged, then you don't get the street cred. But if you have the street cred, you don't have the privilege. And then it's like, you're fucked if you do, you're fucked if you don't, right? That's catch-22. So there's sort of like this really big struggle that occurs in this perception of he had a bad childhood, he didn't get to grow up. And so I will continue dating the stunted adult in hopes that he will reach that potential, instead of recognizing that like you need to do the work, like therapy, and deconstruct and realize like you didn't grow up fast, you got stunted early. You didn't grow up fast, you got stunted early. That's the problem, okay? Chad said she's my manic pixie dream girl sort of thing. 100,000% girl. You just read it, The Room. Exactly. And I know so many men like this. They love the girls with a past, and they love being the men who put them on pedestals. And then what the men do, they're white knights. They put these women on pedestals. Look at all the hard things you've gone through. And they also want to play the daddy role at the same time. You're this amazing woman who overcame. Let me be your daddy. It's like, and then these women, because they've been so stunted, they are looking for daddies. And then there's a whole cycle that happens, a whole thing. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, these girls outgrow these men. And the men are like, these women abandoned me. I gave them everything and they abandoned me. You kidnapped this woman and her stuntedness, you know, in her young years, and then blamed her for growing up. Pourquoi? Jess said, or the people who idolize the girl, the dragon tattoo, mysterious energy. Exactly. Yeah. Shout out the crazy movie. But yeah. Let's see. Chet says, Brittany, do you think you should even date a guy who hasn't gone to therapy? To be honest, I kind of think it's a red flag. Yeah, it depends how old you are. It depends on where they're at. It depends a lot. But I would say it's more of a red flag to date a guy who's very against therapy. It really depends on the age you meet the person. So, you know, if they're 30 and they've never had any therapy, I would consider that a red flag. But I'd be open to hearing why they haven't gone. Because I know people get there at their own time. So it's really dependent on why and where and how old and all of that other stuff. I think the bigger red flag is though is that they refuse to go to therapy. I think that's the much bigger red flag, right? Jess says, what do you mean by stunted? I think I understand in concept development stopped at a young age, but I'm not sure. Yeah, like stunted meaning like when we're young, we learn by exploration and hopefully a safe space. When we are growing up in a dysfunctional home, and we all grow up in some level of dysfunction, but a medium to extreme dysfunctional home, in my mind, and I'm not a mental health professional, so this is mostly observation and through a philosophical lens of understanding I do need help, right? We grow up understanding the world through a specific lens, and it is a stunted lens. It's a lens that comes from dysfunction because dysfunction is inherently stunting. And because it is stunting, but it masks as growing up, it looks like growing up looks like a lack of stuntedness. But how many grown-ups do you know that are stunted? So you can be a grown-up who pays rent, who pays the bills, who shows up at your kid's, you know, ball game or whatever, and still be a stunted adult because you're not actually allowing yourself to be free, to acknowledge what happened to you, to really dig deep, to really admit you're not sleeping, to admit all of your intrusive thoughts, to admit like you're struggling, because on the outside, you might look put together, but on the inside. And then eventually, I think the cracks start to show. Eventually, I don't think you can keep it up. I think it is showing, you just don't know it yet. And that stuntedness is going to show up in the way that you interact with the progressing world, right? Like the world will progress forward, and you can either stay stunted and not figure it out. Like when my dad says, you know, what I do with my feelings, Betsy, the feelings that are frustrating for me, you guys being gay or whatever, I shove it all the way down and I let Jesus handle it. That is a form of stuntedness. But yet my father is a 6-figure earner who ran a successful business and raised 10 kids and has a beautiful house that's paid off and a loving relationship of 40 years and all of the things on paper that look nice. But the stuntedness comes from the fact that my dad, in order to cope with his kids being gay or things he doesn't understand, he has to shove the information down. My dad had to grow up quickly. And because my dad and my mom both had to grow up quickly, the way they grew up quickly by being, quote, responsible adults was to be the least responsible in shoving down all their feelings, because now look what happened. Now, into the future, they don't understand why their kids are also stunted. They don't understand the struggles their kids are having. I haven't talked to them since November because they can't have serious conversations with me about, family trauma stuff. So the stuntedness will come out. You are so stunted in your growth, you can't create a safe space for your kids to come to you and say, someone hurt me. Even though my whole life growing up, my parents always said, if somebody hurt you, come tell us. But yet when we came and told them, they go, no. Because now it looked like a failure on their end. No, we did everything perfect. We made sure you were safe. This was never supposed to happen. So then their fears came true. Their greatest fear came true, and then they couldn't face it because now it's a reflection of their character. And all of this stems from stuntedness, in my opinion. Had they grown up, had they gone to therapy, had they deconstructed, had they made a safe space to have hard conversations, then they could have said, even though we did our best, that didn't guarantee no one was going to hurt you. And I'm so sorry that happened. Let's get you help. Instead of making it about them, they could have made it about their kids, the victims, but they made it about themselves. Because they were stunted. Stunted people make it all about themselves. Stunted people make it all about themselves. See how he knows he's putting his partner in a horrible situation, and then he's asking her to wait for him? He's keeping her tied down because he's the one who's stunted. Let's see. Chet says, hold on, let me scroll up. Let's see. Okay. Chet says, yeah, they don't have to be in therapy currently, but like ever. Well, therapy is it's kind of intimidating. Most Americans aren't in therapy. I think only 30 or 40% of people go to therapy. It's like voting. Not very many people are doing those things. So I would caution the judgment, and I would say rather, why haven't you? And again, how old are you? Are you 25, meeting somebody at 25? I don't expect most 23-year-olds to have gone to therapy, to be honest. I don't. I didn't go till I was 28. So, I should have gone earlier, but I didn't go till I was 28. So it depends on who it is. Most people just don't even think to go to therapy. It's just not that popular. And as much as we talk about it, that's the problem. It's like trans or gay people. I know we talk about us all the time, but we're not 90% of the population, though. Who knows? But you know what I mean? We might talk about therapy all the time, but most people are not in proper therapy. So yeah, I don't think it's that abnormal to think that they would have missed it somehow, Yeah, and the financial barrier of therapy, the financial barrier, finding the right therapist, the stuntedness from your mental health. What keeps you more away from therapy than your mental health? So it's kind of ironic, you know what I mean? Right? Chet says, this is very helpful. I have a lot of friends that grew up quickly that I respect so much, but I could also see their childhood hurt them and how you're describing. Yeah. Okay, let's go back.
I also wish you didn't experience issues with substance.
Life's full of choices. We don't always make the right one, but I guess I went down the wrong path the right way because I'm still here, We're still elevating, growing, and just becoming a better version of myself every day. So everything I went through in the past made me able to be, the version of myself that you now know and love. So I don't regret anything.
What is your answer to that question for me?
Yeah. So there's two thoughts about regret. One, you don't want to live on your deathbed with regret, meaning I should have done something that I never got to do, but you will need to regret bad choices because you should regret mistakes. But not be burdened by them so much that you can't grow. Accept that you did them, but regret that they had to happen. In the same way that she's saying, I wish you didn't have those things happen. Yes, we all ended up where we ended up, and it is what it is. And also, I think my life would have been just as good had I not made those mistakes. I really believe, like, even though had I never done what I did and it wouldn't have gotten me here. Listen, if I changed just about anything about my life that I regret, I probably wouldn't have met my partner, probably wouldn't be married right now. I probably wouldn't be a lot of things. And I think that would have been just as good of a choice as this one, if not better. But I love that my life ended up okay. I love that I got through it. I love that I survived. I love that I healed. I love that I have my life and my dream career and all these things. And also, I think I would have had those things too had I not done those things. Because I think I would have had them anyways. Maybe not with this person, but then again, we don't believe in magic. So we know that high compatibility partners exist by the millions. Like, I'm sure they would have been with somebody else. I would have been with somebody else, or we would have been with nobody. And that also would have been great. So I just think like this needs, you know, there is a responsibility that adults need to have in their regret. Showing regret can be a sign of responsibility. He's not taking responsibility for his choices as much as he says we make choices, but hey, it got me here. This man you love, this man she loves is keeping her down. This man she loves is causing unwise suffering. This man she loves is putting her in a position where he openly came on a public show and admitted his stuntedness is ruining their relationship and keeping them stagnant. You know? So, you know, I'm going to need you to show a little bit of regret.
I wish I could take away everything that's happened to you in your past. Also, you went through a real tough time for a decent period of time, and it really breaks my heart to know that you went through any of those things. So I just wish I could take all that away from you, and I wish I met you when we were 3, and I could have just, you know, made you happy your whole entire life. But
You would have been 2.
Yeah, but like he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have made her happy her entire life because he can't make her happy now. And I'm not putting it only on him. She's also picking him. And the question is, why are you picking him, girl? And this is why I say don't move in with your boyfriends. This isn't her life partner. This isn't her husband. Who is this man? This is your boyfriend. This is the boyfriend I'm trying to warn you not to move in with. Don't move in with this man, girl. And this is why I say, because again, you're statistically not going to make it. Because you're too disjointed. You are not on the same page.
yeah, that's fine. I would have bagged you still.
What is it about me that enables something special in you?
What is it about me that enables something special in you?
Like I just said, like you're so accomplished and you're so dedicated to honing your craft and making more of yourself every day and not caring what people think and dealing with all the, you know, people who troll you on the internet and disagree with what you're
Are they content creators?
saying, but you still stay solid and you still speak your mind. You don't switch up.
Wait, if they're content creators, then we can see if they're still together.
And, you know, you got that unwavering resilience that it's just...
Well, that means, okay, that's even a bigger red flag. I do think oversharing your relationships on the internet is a huge red flag, especially if you're having struggles. So that means that they came onto a public platform to talk about their relationship problems and struggles, probably to promote their content. Okay. And yeah, I noticed that because there was other YouTubers on this channel that I noticed. And I know that's like, see, that's part of the branding. That's the stuff that I wouldn't do because I think it's a little bit of kind of exploitative in a sense. Like, oh man, how do I find out what these people's social media is? Oh my God, look at the comment section. They're so cute together. They're so cute. They're broke up now. Haha, they broke up now. Okay, I'm not celebrating their breakup. I'm just saying, like, it is what it is, girl. Chat says I'd really like, or not, their chat says, I would really like to know how they met. I love love. It's always great to hear about the first lightning bolts and strikes, boo. I love the connection between these two, and the answers they gave were heartwarming. They've since broken up, and she said he never loved her and made her question her own worth. It's all in her socials. Okay? A pattern is a pattern is a pattern. A pattern is a pattern is a pattern. Yeah. I wish I knew her name, like her social media name. Oh, here it is. Found it. Okay. Let me see. Let them see you. Oh, she wrote a book. Okay. Who is this? If this is her man, she certainly has a type. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, she definitely seems to have a type. She got a type. She definitely has a type. Okay, girl. Okay. All right. Interesting. So, author of Let Them See You, speaker, coach, corporate baddie. Okay. Well,
It's very special to me, and it's very inspiring. And I admire you every day. And you're over there, writing your book or doing all the other bunch of things that you do that are great,
Sending my silly little
Sending
emails.
your little emails, newsletter, all that good stuff. So,
My life is just one big silly little
yeah, that's
email.
it. So,
I think the thing for me that has always been my favorite thing about you is not only are you resilient, but I think I am just so in awe of your ability to adapt. I think dating me is, again, like very different than your previous life. And you are so adaptable and intelligent, but you don't let so much of your past darken your future.
mm-hmm.
And I really admire that because I could spend a lot of time thinking about my own past and feeling bad about it today.
Mm-hmm.
But you make me not want to do that.
Yeah, we can't exist there,
Oh, I could.
No, I
could
could.
lay up
Listen,
till 3
I
a.m.
could.
thinking about something I said in kindergarten.
We can all dwell in the negativity and just remain in the dark place, but we don't want to live in that no more. So you're doing great. If this were to be our last conversation ever, what would you never want me to forget, and why?
Gosh, that's a lot. I would never want you to forget that this is the life you deserve and that you're good enough for this life and any life that you choose to live. And you don't have to put yourself in situations that cause pain simply because you think you're deserving of that pain.
Thank you.
I want you to answer the question.
Oh, man. You're just so well-spoken. It's like, it's hard to follow you up.
Sorry. Make sure you tell my mom my lit degree mattered.
Yeah.
yeah. You see how they're not the adult in the room? You know what I'm saying? Like, neither of them are the adult in the room. They might both be legally adults, but none of them are grown. And this is why I say, like, I don't want to be this. Like, I think we should eventually, when we're old enough, and I don't know how old they are, like, we have to be the adult in the room. Like, even the way they're sitting, the neurodivergent slouch, this is such a child's sitting pose. You know what I mean? And I get that. Listen, my Discord, every time I'm in there working in the cozy chat, they're always like, Brittany, check your posture, because they know. I get it. Like, we want to be able to, because there is like a
At least she didn't let you take theater.
I really wanted to.
I'd never want you to forget that.
Yeah, chat says he doesn't seem to be taking in what she's saying either. Question mark. Like that might be a reach because it could be nerves on camera, but there's a disconnect. Yeah, so partially he's probably just anxious, but I think more than that, this is one of the most shallow conversations I've ever heard. Nothing is being said. There's no depth to this conversation. It is all performative Instagram posting. I want you to heal your childhood wounds. I wish I could have been there when you were a kid to save you. I love the fact that when we travel and eat food, like, I feel so close to you. Like, nothing is being said. Absolutely nothing is being said. But it feels like something's being said. And so it's just like, you know what I mean?
I love you. And you've changed my life in so many ways. And I'm so very appreciative of that. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't change this life ever. And thank you for being in it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like the absolute most like, yeah, Chad says maybe they don't see each other. Like, they does not feel like they see each other. I don't even think they see themselves. Was that an organic reaction from her? Like, was that all it took for her to feel like warm and fuzzy inside? Now, to be fair, and this is the part that gets complicated. If you have a truly healthy relationship and it's a good relationship, it's very hard to convey that on screen because a big part of being on screen is the anxiety of knowing you're on camera. So you could even have a couple that isn't camera trained who shows up on screen and doesn't look well, doesn't look good together. But generally, I would say it's more likely that a good relationship will also shine through well enough. There's just nothing good about what's shining through in this situation.
Okay, it's the last one.
All right.
What is your greatest hope for our relationship?
Uh-oh.
My greatest hope for the relationship.
She seems genuinely like, look at her eyes, look at the warmth, look at the love. I do think she's in love with him. I think he's in love with the fact that she loves him. I don't think he's, you know what I'm saying? Like, she just looks so, her eyes are awake, you know?
Just that it remains full of love, fulfillment, new journeys, new adventures, lots of wealth, and just, you know.
I think they're both capitalists though, because like she has like coach. What else does she have in her bio? They might both be capitalists, which is a thing, but also wealth. You know, the wealth, the W word is such an interesting word.
Lots of time spent together. I don't know. I'm breaking here. It's like
I would also say I would like to continue to eat a lot of very good food.
yeah.
Jesus, it's the most, with peace and love, respectfully, the most shallow answers I've ever heard in my life.
All right.
Good job.
Her hope for their relationship is that they get to eat more food? Girl, get a bestie.
All right, great. You killed that.
Right back at you.
Damn, Chat said brutal. Bro, that is brutal.
It was a great experience. Nothing that I'm at all used to. You know, I'm usually not too open about my feelings and everything like that, but it's definitely a positive experience, and I really enjoyed it.
I was really nervous because I didn't know what questions they were going to be, and I was really nervous about sharing openly about my emotions. I'm usually pretty candid about those things, even in like my online brand. But it was kind of like no one else was in the room with us, and we were having a conversation like in our own house, and that was kind of nice and unexpected. It flowed much more freely than I thought, and so I'm really excited about how that turned out.
Well, damn, bro. And I love that the comment section, though there's not very many comments. Let's see, when was this posted? August 24th, 2025. Okay, they've broken up since then. It has like 15 comments. That's it. But how many views? Oh, not even 10,000 views. This one didn't do as well. Interesting. Because some of them do better than others, obviously, you know. They're great, two beautiful people. They're so cute together. And then now you realize like they've broken up, right? Or how about this one says, I went down the wrong path the right way because it led me to you. I wish I had met you when you were 3. I admire you every day. I can't. Such loving, sweet statements. Yes. So for me, they rang hollow. That's not to say that you can't have a very similar conversation and it not ring hollow. But for me, it rang hollow. And look, they broke up. And look, it's like, that's the point. But then it begs the question, what is your type of guy? Because again, you might have a type, you might not have a type. Everyone's different. But it's almost like a desperate feeling I'm getting from this. For me personally, at least, I'm getting like something desperate here. But that's why I think these conversations are so important to watch, because I think they say so much about us. And again, like, I guarantee you, and I used to make content with one of my partners. So I've had all my adult relationships, I was on the internet, but I've only ever made videos with two different people that I was dating. And one of them in particular, when we made content together, my audience hated him. And my audience was right to hate him. He was a bad person, but I just couldn't see it at the time. Like, I kept seeing his potential and all these other things. My audience never liked my ex. And every time I'd break up with him, they'd be like, oh, thank God. And then I'd get back with him and he'd be like, and they had to watch me make these decisions. They had to watch me really struggle. A lot of it was in private. A lot of the internet didn't even know like a lot of the extent of it until it had to come, out. But it was definitely one of those things where I recognize now, had we done this kind of video together, people would have made a video like I'm making now and been like, oh girl, get out. And I would have been like, they just don't get it. They don't see what we see. We know what's really happening when the cameras are off. But what was really happening is I was crying to sleep every night. What was really happening is like, when it was good, but it was mostly bad. What was really happening is that I was begging him to stick to a job or finish school or do something and to stop coming up with like short, schemes to get rich. Like, I was begging him, please just take your life seriously. Just make a decision so we can move forward. Like, I already know what I'm doing. What are you doing? That's the truth of it. So hearing that they're broken up now makes a lot of sense. But it also makes a lot of sense of how we find ourselves here. So just to wrap up, that sentiment of you had to grow up fast is a statement of stuntedness. Kids do not grow up fast. We become stunted. And then we show up as stunted adults in the world that look like we're able to do things or have gone through hard things, but it really comes to a head when we reach our 20s and 30s and maybe 40s and 50s, right? And especially if you listen to a lot of finance shows, just to hear callers call in. That's why I like call-in shows, because you get to hear from real people, not even content creators, because hearing from a content creator at this point is like hearing from it's definitely like not the same. Hearing from a caller who's like, hey, I really need help. You just learn so much about people and you realize like, man, people are so stunted, and you can see how it traces back to your childhood. That's what therapy is for. Go to a therapist that will help you trace back your actions to your childhood. When I say go to therapy, I'm saying talk to a medical professional that can explain why your adult behavior stems from the way you were raised. Because it didn't just into existence. You didn't just pick up this habit. It was formed within you, right? Okay. Let's see. Chess says, Brittany, do you think you can break up and get back together and have a healthy relationship? To be honest, I don't think if you break up in the first place, I don't think so if you break up in the first place. Yeah, I don't. I think it'd be highly improbable that a relationship that broke up could work later on. I'm with 8 billion people on the planet. I'm sure there's an exception, but I always live my life like I'm not the exception. So I'm not a big fan of it. If you break up, break up. If you're even thinking about breaking up, I was just, a friend of a friend of a friend is going through one of those situations where, they got married quickly, they're together, but she's thinking about her old life or thinking about her old friends or thinking about the old place she lived or thinking about like, man, am I happy? And I'm like, the fact that you're talking to your friends about it and not your partner is the point. If you are talking to your friends about how unhappy your marriage is, you need to end that marriage. Or you can go to couples counseling, but like realistically, if you're so unhappy in your marriage, you're talking to your friends, it's probably the end of that marriage. Now, people do settle, and I caution you from this. This actually swings back around to this administration and the Heritage Foundation putting together marriage boot camps. That's what they want you to do. They want you to go to marriage boot camp and stay with your partner and settle for a relationship and have babies. And I'm saying you should have a custom relationship that makes everybody involved happy and joyful and committed and feeling good and takes into account the way people show up uniquely in the marriage, and or you need to make sure that you're focused on the same page. What was the issue with this couple, right? Is they couldn't get on the same page. You have to be on the same page. So, if you're on the same page, why are you breaking up and getting back together? That's really the question. Yeah. Just as in her eyes, I saw love, but with an undertone of desperation. Like if I just love him deep enough, he'll eventually return. Yes. Chess says, I feel like I recognize that because I've been there. Same. Yeah, that's what I saw from her. Yeah, it was like, I really believe in him, but maybe, I can't tell you how many people in my life are like, Brittany, break up with this guy. Please. He's not going to be the guy you think he is. Like it's not working. It's not working. And look, like they were right. But I kept thinking, if I just figure out the formula, if I just figure it out. Now, I will say this. No one in my life has ever told me to break up with my married partner. Everyone loves it. Everyone loves us together. Everyone's very happy for us. Not a single person in my life has come to me and said, like, break up with him. He's a loser. They're all just like, hey, dude. Yeah, I like him. He's cool, bro. He's cool. My brother's like, honestly, I like him better than I like you. And I was like, hey, now. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, like even my sister, we've all been like gaming together and it's been so fun. Or even when my sister came to visit, like they got along so well and I was so relieved. And like, that is such a relief to me because my sister did not love my ex. Let me tell you, nobody liked my ex. Nobody liked my ex. And so like, it was so nice to have the family on board and just like, they like him. They like him so much. And I love that so much. Like, it's so nice. It's a nice validation from the community that, because as much as we deconstruct and go to therapy, we also can make mistakes. And so, just having the community, like, I'm like, okay, cool. Even though I had made the decision, it's still nice. The validation is important, That's what community is for. Community, the village, is if the village has your best intentions in mind, they will send you in the right direction. The issue is when you have a bad village, then they will send you in the wrong direction. Example, you grow up in a household or in a village with your friends and family where you're getting sober and they're not, and they think you're being judgmental, or you think you're better than us, or a family that doesn't have a higher education judges the kid who goes to college versus pumping them up. What's the best skill my siblings and I have? We always, always, always support each other in our successes. Okay, we're always happy for each other, assuming obviously nothing bad is going on. I'm so proud of you for getting that job, for going to college, for getting that apartment. I'm so proud of you because, again, you don't want to be so bitter yourself. You keep your community behind. You want to alleviate. And I understand you weren't raised bitter. Oh, sorry, you weren't born bitter. Okay, like you didn't come out the womb bitter. Something happened. So if you're a bitter person, you need to go to therapy to figure out when you became a bitter person, to figure out what happened and how to let it go. Because if the village is bitter, then the fruits you produce will be unedible. Okay, you won't be able to eat them. You need to produce fruit that is good. And that requires the village to go to therapy. Okay, thank you. Thank you for my TED Talk. There you go.